I am Angelina Ingari, and I'm the Collaborative Forestry Manager for Hampton Lumber. I cover collaboration all across the state of Washington, and there's about 8 or 9 different collaboratives across the state of Washington, so I get a chance to chat with all of those communities. So a forest collaborative is a group of diverse stakeholders that get together to work on restoration on national forest or federal land. There's been a long history of sort of this war between conservation and timber, and really conservation and timber can come together in these collaboratives.
So federal forests are really important assets. They're public lands. They provide a lot of benefits, whether that be recreation, whether it be wildlife habitat. They also provide local timber and resources. And so a collaborative is able to kind of specifically look at how we can continue forward by reaching not just one benefit, but multiple benefits.
The successes that we've experienced with the Darrington Collaborative, I would say it's all about relationships and building relationships with local communities, with conservation groups, with folks in the forest products industry. That's really how we can make long-term change and reach outcomes that benefit local economies and all who enjoy our national forests.
I think we're really trying to address the fact that if you look back in history, there was a lot of conflict between the timber industry and the conservation community in terms of how we manage our federal forests. And what we realized generally over some beers is that there's actually a lot that we agree on. And so instead of focusing on the 20% that we don't agree on, let's talk about the 80% that we do agree on, find the common ground, the shared values, and see what we can do from that. And what we found is that starting there with shared values, we can actually get a lot done and bring it to scale.
The Forest Service had a long history of doing sort of this plantation logging, right? Where it's cut all the trees everywhere, all sizes, plant it, regrow it, cut it again. So it was very much like a crop. And at some point, folks said, wait a minute, we want a more natural state. And what happened in the mid-90s with the Northwest Forest Plan was the intention was to create these pockets where habitat is protected, but it actually stopped logging altogether. So there was this long 30-year period where not much, if anything, happened on national forests, especially here on the Mount Baker Snoqualmie. These collaboratives have come together to say, hey, let's tear down that gridlock and find a way where we can actually agree restoration thinning is something that we can all support and move forward on these forests.
Wood, growing wood sustainably, it's an essential part of a lot of things we do. It's an essential raw material, it's carbon friendly, it's got just a whole variety of uses. And in the meantime, you get this whole spectrum of forest from, the initial clear cut, you get the berries growing and everything, to portions where you can gather mushrooms, to where you harvest it again and you get all these good wood products. And then it continues.
So we went and visited the Siegelson 1 and Siegelson 2 pilot projects. Those were the first projects implemented by the collaborative. And they were, I describe them as restoration thinning projects. So we used variable retention harvest to affect the structure and composition of the stand, reduce densities, create openings, leave gaps, introduce some spatial variability, and try to shift the stand towards a more structurally complex condition.
After the Northwest Forest Plan was implemented, a lot of the communities up and down the West Coast lost their infrastructure. Darrington was fortunate. Hampton took on Darrington in 2003 and is operating today. So we're really fortunate to have that partner in not only our community but also in our collaborative. My hope for this collaborative is we succeed. Our youth in our community don't recognize the timber industry or the environmentalist industry as a viable direction for them. My dream of the collaborative is to create the mechanisms in conjunction with the Forest Service, in conjunction with industry, that creates those possibilities, whether it's in environmental restoration, whether it's in stewardship, whether it's in timber, that there's something here in our community for them to go out into the real world, get an education, have these experiences, but when they want to come back and engage in a career that is going forward, it's here.
Yeah, I think for a member of the public that's not familiar with collaboration, reach out to the collaboratives. We have a Washington Forest Collaborative Network, and you can Google that and you'll find a lot of information about all of the collaboratives in Washington State. If you really want to get involved, a good way to do that is through the National Environmental Policy Act process. There's an analysis process that includes public involvement, and that's a lot of the space that the collaborative operates in. Is during those comment periods we get in and work with the forest to get our feedback heard. So I think that's a really great way if somebody wants to get involved. Reach out to a collaborative, reach out to a collaborative member, reach out to me, and we'll get you connected with the right people so you can follow what's going on your forest.